Hello and welcome to the Spurs Thoughts podcast. Welcome back. Today is a new day, and we're going to talk about Fulham and Crystal Palace. We'll start with the Fulham game. We have Ben, as always. Ben, how are
Hello.
you?
Um, Happy after last night. It was just wonderful, really, to see Son, Kane, and Bale just run riot. But yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling ready.
Yeah, I mean, you had him in your fantasy. You did well.
Oh yeah, I had all three of them on fantasy. And I had Luke Shaw. I had Bruno Fernandes. I took my captaincy off Bruno, which I kind of regret. Put it on Diaz, which
Yeah.
I also regret. But look, onwards and upwards. We all make mistakes.
See, we're in a league together, and see, I'm first. First top of the league with
Yeah, and I'm
21
second.
people.
All right. Yeah, don't forget that bit.
Second, and I do have a lead. I have a 20 no 8 maths. Okay, I forgot maths, but I do have a 25-point lead on Ben, and I have a few differentials to play. So
Still 10 game
big
weeks to
points
go.
incoming.
It's fine.
Watch out. So let's move on to the actual real world football. Um, in Fulham Tottenham, great game. I mean, not really great game, shaky game. Put it that way.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the game?
Um, Terrible. I think that's the right word. Just wasn't good at all. Um, we shouldn't have got the 3 points at all. Fulham were definitely the better team. And then a goal disallowed, which was, I hate to say it, but it was quite possibly the worst decision I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, but look, we got 3 points, so we move.
To be fair, we were due a bad decision going our way, considering like some of the decisions we've had, like the Lucas Moura against Sheffield last season,
That's true.
where he
Yeah.
fell over, and some of the other ones probably deserve it, but at the same time, they should none of them should have happened. And yeah, I mean, I think first half we looked like we were about to destroy them and send them back to the championship, but second half they came out guns blazing. Yeah. So if we go on to the some of the lineups we had, this was the first game we had the quartet of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Dele Alli, and Gareth Bale. Ben, what did you think of that first
Um.
half with them?
Well, I got excited at first to see the sort of, as you say, the quartet, and then he just took two of them off. Um, I mean, they weren't having bad games. They were probably, our two best players on the pitch, and he just takes them off. So, not sure the reasoning behind that, but I mean, at least we got to see them.
I mean, one would assume that it would be related to fitness issues, considering
Yeah,
Dele
I'd
Alli
say that
hasn't
would have been
played.
the reason for both of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
because they haven't played a full 90 in a long time. Um, so yeah,
and
still annoying to see them come off, but there probably is a reason behind that.
yeah, and I mean Lucas Moura, hard to bench him after the game against Burnley, but he had to come off the bench. I think he was one of the players that you couldn't really say no to after the Burnley game. But yeah, but I think overall second half would needed to be much better.
Yeah,
But
we were sort of thrown around like a rag doll in the second half. We played the classics like sixth back and just didn't create anything. Um, Kane missed a few sort of clear cut chances, which he usually does score, but Ariela's a decent keeper, so we'll let him off.
yeah, he pissed me off a bit with fantasy as well because he did that. But we move. But I think on another day, if the Fulham goal would have been allowed, we probably would have put a few more of those chances away. And it's different though because it there was so many different chances that on another day would have gone in, but it would have been a completely different scoreline. So I think wouldn't say an undeserved win, but wouldn't really say a deserved win either.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we deserved to win, but we didn't
Yeah.
deserve to lose either. So
If we look stats wise, yeah, we didn't have possession. That was kind of almost guaranteed. We had 9 shots, 2 on target, compared to their 11 shots, 3 on target. But what I would say is we had a few more clear cut chances.
yeah, I agree with that. I think
Um,
the chances that we created that we should have put away would have put the game away, and it would have looked a lot better than it did on the scoreline. But that's football, and you just gotta move on, I suppose.
yeah. Another bright spot though that game. Well, a few bright spots in the game. Two players come to mind, and that was Eric Lamela and Davinson Sanchez. What were your
Yeah,
thoughts on their performance?
I think Lamela definitely changed the game. I remember that sort of towards the end where he just sort of the classic ball roll to about four people. Um, yeah, that was nice to see Lamela sort of back on some kind of form because he was injured for about 2 years almost. With I think the back or something. Um, so it's good to see him sort of on form again. And then Sanchez, after Man City, that sort of atrocious performance. He's sort of resurged himself. He's now, I think, our second best centre back behind Alderweireld. Um, but yeah, he had a great game. He defended really well.
Do you think that could be our new partnership in Toby Alderweireld and Davinson Sanchez? Obviously, with Davinson Sanchez, you get pace, something that we've pretty much been lacking with Eric Dyer and Toby Alderweireld.
Yeah, I think that should be our main centre back partnership because you have the pace of Sanchez, and then you have the sort of positioning and sort of experience of Alderweireld. So I think that's our best centre back pairing, and I think Dyer's time is running out. To be honest, I can't.
Yeah, he is coming. He's what? He's not coming to the end of his career. So
No.
there is an ability maybe to move him on to a different club, maybe get some money for him. Do you think we should do that, or do you think we should maybe keep him as a second center back option?
Um, I think we should sell him, um, just because he's not really up to scratch anymore. He had a great start to the season where he was just sort of kind of solid defensively, but since then he's fallen off his sort of form table, I suppose. Um, and there's definitely, I think Tanganga is better than him. Sort of, obviously, he's a lot quicker. Um, and then Rodent showed that he's, a bright young prospect. I know he's not like 19, but he's still young. So I would
Yeah, in
keep
terms of
sort
center
of,
back.
yeah, definitely. But I think I'd sell Eric Dyer and for the sake of the development of Roden and Tanganga.
If we were to get someone like maybe Milan Skriniar, would you sell one of the two that played on against Fulham, one of Toby Alderweireld and Davinson Sanchez, mainly because we've Tanganga and Joe Rodon coming through, or do you think we still need that strength and depth?
Um, I don't think that's the. I think by signing Skriniar, the strength and depth is not a problem. Look at Man City. Their centre back depth is Laporte, Diaz, Stones, Ake, and Eric Garcia. I think so.
Yeah,
And well, I know Eric Garcia is leaving at the end of the season, but um, still to have someone like that as your fifth choice centre back is strong. And I'm not comparing us to Man City because we're not. But to have that sort of strength and depth, if we're able to rotate, Sanchez, Alderweireld, and Skriniar, and then have Roden and Tanganga sort of breaking through for like cup matches and stuff like that to become eventually the level of the three that I mentioned. Because especially Alderweireld, he's getting on a bit now. He's 32, I think. So yeah, it's his age is a bit concerning, but Tanganga's like 21, Roden's 23, I think. So they're both young, and they could be like potential replacements for Alderweireld.
Yeah. Um, and I think, as you said, they're prospects. So there's still a chance that it doesn't work out. But since you have two, you're probably looking at a higher chance of, even if just one works properly. Davinson Sanchez, he's only 24, still has the potential to be a great centre back if he continues this form. You're looking at a really good partnership forming, which could last. Like Toby and Jan, it could last for a while. It would leave us in a place where we wouldn't need to worry about the defensive issues like we are now.
Yeah, I think that will put us in a great position if we have that sort of depth. Obviously, Sanchez is still quite young and he can still develop, as you said. And then Skriniar is not exactly an old man either. He's 25, 26 maybe. So he's sort of in his prime for a centre back, and that would really sort of, pardon the pun, but spur us on to
Yeah.
maybe win something.
Skriniar is in fact 26 as of last month.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, I think you're definitely looking at then, if both of those players, Joe Rodon and Tanganga, both become quality centre backs. Not to sound very businessy, but there's money to be made there, because we'd have Skriniar. Let's say we do get Skriniar, we'd have Skriniar, Davinson Sanchez, Joe Rodon, and Tanganga.
Yeah,
All
that would be
four young,
incredible. Yeah.
and we're looking at a team then that almost in 3 to 4 years we'd be talking about, renewing our attack. As weird as that sounds now, but it would be. I think we'd base it around like the likes of Giovanni Lo Celso and Dele Alli, and we'd look for. Obviously, I think Kane will still be going, but maybe some wingers. But to be fair with Bergwijn, yeah, when you think about the team and how far we've come under Poch and the depth we have, it's incredible that we're sitting in sixth.
I think
Like,
it just depends on how these players develop. They could be good as youngsters, but they could sort of fall off. That's what happens to a lot of players.
yeah,
So we just have to see how they develop, and that depends on who we buy in the future.
yeah. If we move on to the Crystal Palace game then, and we won 4-1 obviously last night. What were your thoughts on the game overall?
Wonderful. Much better. It was sort of breath of fresh air to see us play last night. Especially compared to the Fulham game. When Son is your arguably your worst attacker, that's a pretty good sign. So
Yeah,
yeah, obviously Kane man of the match by a long stretch. Yeah, one of his best games of the season. 2 goals, 2 assists. Um, Possibly one of the best players in the league. Well, definitely one of the best players in the league, if not the best player
I
in the
mean,
league.
if
This
you're
season.
looking at the players of the season, you have people are saying Gundogan, but I think he's not going to continue the form he had, and the form was only about 10 games. You're looking at Bruno Fernandes, who is fatiguing. He doesn't quite have the numbers of Harry Kane. You're really left with Harry Kane, aren't you? And
Yeah.
it's great.
You're starting. You said there like Bruno's fatiguing. You can kind of see that he's sort of being overplayed by Man United, and I think that's why we bought in Vinicius, because we can play Vinicius in the Europa League, whereas Bruno's playing every single game, week in, week out, and they're not rotating him. because he's so key to the side. Whereas Vinicius is, I'm pretty sure he's the joint top goal scorer in the Europa League this season. So to have that on our bench is definitely a bonus, and it definitely rests Kane. That's why having a sort of big squad, you see the pundits saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't rotate the squad and all," but that's the modern game of football. There's so many more games now than there were sort of even 10, 15, 20 years ago. In a season, you know, these sort of the players now are playing sort of at sort of a minimum 50 games a season. Some are playing a lot more depending on how far they go in tournaments. But yeah, to rotate our squad is definitely a bonus, and that's what's happening to Bruno. He's not getting rotated, and I think that's where Kane will come in because he's still, we're what March now, and he's still as fresh as he was in August. So it's good to see. It's not his development, but his legs are still in the same place, and not the first. So yeah, we're just gonna keep it going.
Yeah. And I think for a player of Bruno Fernandez's quality, that this is no disrespect to him, but he doesn't really perform in the big games, and I think that's where his downfall will come because that's what 12 games of this, well, no, 10 games of the season, plus a few others, where he's not performing, um,
Yeah, whereas
bar the penalties.
Kane just performs every game. People say, "Oh, Kane's not a big game player." He's the top scorer in the North London Derby, which is like our biggest game of the season. So,
Yeah,
and he scored against every single team he's faced in the Premier League. So, yeah, not the
that
not the
is a
worst
that is a
stat.
great stat to have.
Yeah, he scored against every single Premier League team in the time that he's been in the league, other than Tottenham.
Well, yeah, you'd assume you'd hope he's not scoring too much against Tottenham.
Yeah, please, Harry.
But yeah, I think before halftime when we did concede, I think everyone's mind immediately went to Fulham, West Ham, Wolves. Um, there's so many, Newcastle. There's so many more. Uh,
Yeah, the
is that
sort of
where your mind
games
went, or
where,
did you think?
yeah, I think so. We scored one goal, and then we sort of eased the pressure on Palace and sort of let them attack, and then that's how they scored. And then obviously Mourinho gave them a sort of grilling at halftime for doing that, and then within 3 minutes of kick off again, we scored two goals. So
I think it was
it's
almost a really good goal to concede because you know that happens. Mourinho's gonna like fully destroy them, and grill them to the point where they're saying, "Okay, okay, we better score here."
yeah. I don't think
Like,
the problem for us isn't scoring. It's just you know our willingness to score. We think, oh yeah, we've scored 1-0. Yeah, that's enough. It never is. In the Premier League, you have to win sort of. You have to score four goals, and then you're sort of guaranteed the points. I would say three, but then West Ham happened, so I'm not guaranteeing anything. Um, but yeah, obviously it was just scintillating from the front three, and I want to give actually a bit of credit to Lucas Moura. He was
incredible.
sort of he was the man of the match that didn't get man of the match. If you're trying to if like out of the obvious candidates, obviously you've got your Kanes
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
Bales, and then other than them two, I think Lucas Moura would have won it because his pressing, his especially for the first goal, he pressed and won the ball. He just pressed the whole game, and he was actually, quality.
I didn't see him stop running. He
Yeah, I
just
don't think he did
kept
stop.
running and kept winning the ball back, and that's how he got the first goal. He won the ball back, by pressing so much. It's incredible how much that like he runs. And another one to um who did well against Palace was uh, Højbjerg, as always. He played. Here's some stats for you that I'll throw at you. He had an 89% pass accuracy. He had one long ball completed, 100 touches, 8 duels won, two clearances, two headed clearances, 100% tackle completion rate, one aerial ball won, one interception, and 10 ball recoveries.
Go.
That's big numbers.
I love Højbjerg, man. He's so good, and the fact that we got him for, I know technically it was 15 million, but then again, technically it was 3 million.
It was 3 million, yeah.
Yeah, like £3 million for like a stalwart who's one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League is just ridiculous. So, yeah, big up Højbjerg. What a guy.
I mean, on current form, I'd probably put him maybe aside from Kimmich as one of the best in the top 5 leagues in the world, even.
Yeah, I think he's definitely up there. I don't see him like. I think he's probably top 3, I reckon, in the Premier League this season, behind maybe Fred. He's been good for United. And Didi, maybe. I know he's kind of struggled with injury. Rodri's been pretty decent. So, he's definitely up there with those sort of 3 players. And, if you bought one of them for 3 million, if you tried to buy one of them for £3 million, you'd get your head laughed off. So,
yeah,
I think potentially Højbjerg's the bargain of the season in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, the other real candidates are maybe James Rodriguez for bargain of the season.
Yeah.
But then again, he's injured every 2 weeks.
Yeah. And plus, technically he was free, but technically Everton paid 22 million to just pay off his contract, and then they got him for free. So,
yeah.
but
So.
I mean, still £20 million for a player like James would be just incredible, really.
Yeah. If we look ahead just quickly now to the next games, we have Dinamo Zagreb, Arsenal, and then Dinamo Zagreb for the second leg. What do you see us winning each one of those games?
Well, I don't want to say like, oh yeah, we're going to beat Zagreb 5-0, because that will 100% come back to bite me. So, because I'm not going to lie, I know nothing about Dinamo Zagreb. I know they're in Croatia, and they have a great academy, but I don't know anything current about them. And then Arsenal are just bad. So I know we're not great, but like Arsenal are really not great. So I can see us definitely winning against Arsenal. That's key to win against Arsenal. And then Zagreb, I think we will win, but I'm not going to predict a score because I know when I say like, oh yeah, we're going to win 3-0, we're going to lose like 4-0. So I'm not going to predict a score because I know nothing about Dinamo Zagreb.
I'll give you some insights here. So the last time we played Dinamo Zagreb, we won 4-0. Darren Bent scored a hat trick in 08-09.
Jesus. Darren Bent.
Dinamo Zagreb have lost 9 of their last 10 matches against English sides. The one game that they did win was against Arsenal in 2015.
Oh. I thought you were going to say they've lost 9 out of their last 10 games, just full stop. And I was like, oh my God.
They're tearing up the Croatian league, as they always do, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's not very difficult.
Yeah. But a club like Dinamo Zagreb, who aren't playing the sizes of clubs we are, don't want to say this, but we should be beating them.
Oh yeah, we definitely should be beating them.
We should be beating them well, and then playing Carlos Vinicius and Brandon Austin, or he's on loan, isn't he? But Joe Hart, second leg.
Yeah, I think we should go out with a sort of semi-full team. I think save like Son and Kane and Bale. But play like Højbjerg, play Dyer and
Lucas.
Sanchez maybe. Yeah, play Lucas definitely, and then play. I was going to say Davis and Doherty, but I kind of liked Reguilon and Doherty last night. I think they are. I think that's what should be being played every week, because I mean, Aria just gives away a penalty, um, and then Davis is just awful. So I think I actually think Doherty was another sort of shout for man of the match. I thought he was amazing. I think he works. I think he works so well with Gareth Bale because Doherty's such. He's more of he's a proper wing back in that he just bombs forward and he just sort of helps the right winger, and that's what Bale needs. Well, he doesn't need it, but you know what I mean. Yeah, they work together really well. So
Because Bale was also coming back a lot, and when it was a 2v1 situation when Patrick Van Aanholt was coming up, the left side, Bale was there just to help Doherty out, especially in defensive positions. So I think
yeah, definitely. So I think those two work really well together, and then obviously Reguilon's just a, a god. So
like every
yeah, I
time
think
every time Roy Keane says anything about Region, I think Micah Richards brought it up before the game as well. You know, Region has to prove him wrong, and he does very well. To be fair, he
yeah,
is one of
I
the
think
best
he's
left backs in the league.
definitely. I love Reguilon. I think he's class. And if he goes back to Real Madrid, I hate you, Zidane. But I don't think he will because Zidane hates him. Like,
Apparently, he loves it here.
yeah, as well as that, yeah, he loves the sort of London lifestyle. And also, the reason he left Real Madrid was because he had a full on fight with Zidane's son. So, as long as Zidane stays manager, I don't think he's going back to Real Madrid. Touch wood. But, yeah, come on, Reggie. Please stay.